safe perimeter around houses and schools. We always have to protect, and I said this in the speech, the First Amendment right to peacefully protest. It's sacrosanct. It's one of the hallmark principles of our country. We're, of course, going to seek to protect that First Amendment right to peacefully protest. With that said, New Yorkers have the right to go into their house of worship, no matter what their house of worship is, without any kind of intimidation or harassment. And so we're going to create a safe perimeter around all houses of worship and all schools. And so that, I think, really balances both. We have to utilize, and it's a lawyer me, the time, place, and manner restrictions on First Amendment right to protest. And so that's what we're going to do. Yes. Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Two questions. One, have you considered at all the proposal to raise salary for the council members and the mayor this next year? And second, on that houses of worship bill proposal, Governor Kathy Hochul is also considering proposing legislation that would create a perimeter around houses of worship. Have you spoken with her at all?
I had a meeting the other day with Governor Hochul. I'm very excited about the partnership with the governor. There's going to be so many things that we can partner on, so I look forward to discussing that particular topic with her.
And then on the proposal to raise salaries.
Yeah, so there was a bill in the last council, a bill by Councilmember Williams that had a hearing. That my belief, and I have said this publicly, is that I believe that the best way to do any kind of cost of living adjustment is via a commission, the Quadrennial Commission. I have raised that issue directly with the mayor to just say that that would be my preference in terms of how we would address that issue. That is the way that it has always been done, is through the commission, as opposed to members voting on a bill that raises it directly.
Hi, yes. Hi, Speaker.
Hi.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
A couple of questions. I wanted to go back. In your speech, you mentioned the mayor being the first Muslim mayor, you first being the first Jewish speaker. Have you, in your conversations with him, have you made it clear to him that that's something that is going to be a priority for you? You mentioned it united you guys, but right now in the city, it's not always a unifying narrative when it comes to that. And then I also wanted to ask you, many of the council members earlier talked a lot about their disagreement with the mayor's agenda. And do you think that that's going to be an obstacle for you to have to overcome, trying to get some council members to maybe, when it comes to negotiating with the mayor and his administration?
Well, first of all, as I said in the speech, it's historic to have the first Muslim mayor and now the first Jewish speaker. I think it's a real opportunity for communities to come together. And perhaps one of the best examples of that is that not that long ago, a student in my district who's Muslim told me how after October 7th, she started a club at her high school with her best friend who's Jewish, and it was a Muslim-Jewish club. And I thought, wow, that beautifully elegant idea is the way to move forward in terms of tolerance. So I look forward to having further discussions with the mayor. I think it's a real area of opportunity. I understand that tensions are inflamed and very high, but it is my desire to try to lower tensions. And to me, the best way to lower tensions is through education. That's, as I mentioned, that's like the programs that I was proud to have launched, through dialogue, through conversation, and by doing the types of things that I mentioned, which is protecting the First Amendment right to peacefully protest, but also making sure that it's not infringing on others' rights, ability to worship or to attend classes.
And then on the council members who obviously
Sure.
have reservations about the mayor's agenda, do you
Yeah.
think their reservations, their hesitance is going to present an obstacle for you?
There's a very broad ideological divide. There are a lot of disparate opinions. Anytime you get any 51 individuals together, you're always going to have a lot of disparate thoughts. But I'm really gratified by the fact that there was an unanimous vote for me for Speaker. And I think that that is a harbinger of what is ahead for the Council, which is we're going to come together where we can agree. And so I'm very excited about that moving forward. Thanks, Jeff.
Just want to dig in a little bit on two previous questions.
Oh, sorry, could you just speak a little louder? Oh, thank you. Yes.
Previous questions, at least 3-4 council members said they expected this body to be a counterbalance to Mayor Mamdani. I'm wondering, do you agree with that language of the body being like a counterbalance to some of his positions? And what do you see your role as
Sure.
Jewish leader in directly speaking to the mayor about some of the concerns
Yeah, of course. So I view our role as an independent, co-equal branch of government. I firmly believe in separation of powers. I believe in checks and balances. I used to teach city government at Columbia. I really believe in that process of transparent, accountable government with two co-equal branches of government. We are going to agree on many things. We will disagree on other things. But the main point is what I don't want to see is I don't want to see the council engage in some of the things that happened in the last 4 years, which really stood in the way of progress, where you have this tit for tat, and then it leads to real challenges in terms of trying to get things through. So I do think that we're going to have productive conversations on the issues. Of course, there'll be areas of disagreement. That happens in every single city council administration relationship. What we're going to do when we do have those disagreements are going to be based on substantive policy issues, and we will do so in a productive and respectful way.
And as a Jewish leader, you see your direct relationship with the mayor and
Yeah.
some of the issues that the community.
Sure. Well, I'm honored to be the first Jewish speaker, and I think at this pivotal time for the Jewish community with the rise in anti-Semitism, it really is incredibly important. As I said in my speech, I've stood up very, very strongly to counteract Islamophobia. I honestly can't think of really a stronger example than the one that I mentioned, which was the Islamic Cultural Center and Mosque when I chaired Community Board 1. The hatred was vitriolic. It is why I had death threats for almost a year over standing up for that project. But I think that when people see the first Jewish speaker and the first Muslim mayor working together on issues, I hope that that will serve as a path forward. And I look forward to having conversations with the mayor.
We have time for a few more questions.
Hi, Bob.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I do remember in your activist incarnation.
Yeah.
At Community Board 1, trying to get accountability in the Deutsche Bank building.
Yes.
And can you talk about, looking back, there's been an issue for a couple of mayoralties now about disclosing 9/11 files that the Giuliani administration had in their possession that would give us a sense of what the administration knew and when. Would you favor that full transparency and release of those documents?
100%. And I'm glad you're asking about that. What happened after 9/11, when both the federal government and the city of New York told us who lived in lower Manhattan that the air was safe to breathe, thousands of people, first responders, residents, have died of cancer. My mother was one of them. It was abhorrent what happened. There was no protective equipment in those early days. There were no warnings that we should have sealed windows, use protective equipment. In my opinion, it was just shameful and unconscionable. So yes, I believe sunlight is the best disinfectant. And so yes, I am absolutely committed to that. Those files do need to be released. We need to look at the past to make decisions, for the future. And by hiding it and not disclosing it and not being willing to take a hard look at it, that's just not the right approach.
As a follow-up, if I may, you have set a tone that you are going to stay in your lane, but in this case, the federal government now, under President Trump's leadership and Robert Kennedy and CDC, have really put the 9/11 World Trade Center program in a difficult place. Will you be an advocate for that?
Absolutely. I did a press conference about 9 months ago with Council Member Linda Lee calling for just that. We have to make sure that the health registry is fully funded. We helped to create that health registry. As the chair of Community Board 1, we attended countless congressional hearings, meetings advocating for that because we knew the air was not safe to breathe, and we knew that the federal government compromised the health and safety of first responders and residents. So yes. Hi, Joe.
Speaker, congratulations.
Thank you.
Two quick questions for you. One off topic. Could you just react to some of the news around the mayor's Office of Protection head, seaweed tweets and that whole controversy? And then following up on something you mentioned earlier, the mayor also has instructed the NYPD to study, a buffer zone around houses of worship to be done through executive order.
Right.
Can you talk about how that?
Sure. I'll take the last one first. So I spoke directly to the mayor about those executive orders, because when the original executive orders were rescinded, there obviously was concern within the Jewish community, and so I conveyed that to the mayor, and he indicated that by enacting Executive Order 2, which recreated the Office to Combat Anti-Semitism, it also directed the NYPD Commissioner, Commissioner Tisch, to look at the houses of worship. I indicated to him that I'm very supportive of that. We want to codify that, so we want to codify a safe perimeter, which is why we've been working on this legislation for many months, actually. And so this legislation would create a safe perimeter around houses of worship, but also schools, which are another sensitive site, where we want to make sure that that happens.
I guess you're saying this would last like between administrations because it would.
Yes, exactly. I mean, you always want to codify these important policies so it's never dependent on who the speaker is or who the mayor is. It should be something that is there for posterity.
And then,
Okay, yeah, the first.
the Office of Tenant Protection.
Oh, okay. So the question being comments that were made.
Like, do you have a reaction? Do you think she should leave the administration? Do you think?
Look, I'm not going to make comments on about tweets for every appointment that the mayor makes. I don't agree with the comments that were made, but my focus is on how we can work to build more affordable housing, to protect tenants, and to be a partner in attacking this affordability crisis. Okay. Hi, Nick. Thank you.
Could you talked about going after bad actors in the business community. Could you say a little more about what the potential bad actions
Sure,
could be and how
sure.
you know, how are-
Yeah, absolutely. First, I will say, as a former small business owner, we're going to slash fines. I know this is not your question, but I want to begin by saying we're going to slash fines on small businesses, and we're going to cut bureaucratic red tape. We also want to attract new businesses to our city, and we want to support the businesses and grow the businesses and jobs and economy for those businesses that are following our laws. Where there are businesses that are engaged in truly predatory conduct, it is incumbent on the city council to take a hard look at that. As a lawyer, I believe we have not fully utilized the tools in our toolbox. The council has never tried to subpoena any actor for sort of predatory conduct, anything outside of city government. We absolutely have the legal authority to do so, and it's something we're going to pursue.
And my last question, just the Department of Community Safety, Lyndon Wessler introduced a bill in session to create that. Is that the bill that you'll be looking at as the sort of vehicle to?
Yeah, I have not talked to Councilmember Russell about it, but I would imagine that he will be reintroducing the bill. All bills, obviously, from the last session need to be reintroduced. So I'll be talking to Councilmember Russell, but I